Hey everybody, welcome back to Living Traditions Homestead. My name is Kevin. Well, the holiday season is here, and that means if your house is anything like ours, there are a ton of sweet treats around. Cookies and candies and everything else. And this year it's even worse because my mom moved here, and my mom loves to bake for the holidays. The problem is I also like to eat the things that my mom bakes for the holidays. I need to watch myself because this time of year is just too easy to overdo it on the sweets. So today I'm going to teach you how to make a treat that is not sweet, but is so good I guarantee that your family is going to absolutely love it. And that is homemade turkey jerky. Alright, this is a very simple recipe that I'm going to teach you guys today. It's pretty universal. You can use it for turkey, you can use it for beef, you can use it for venison. The other day I actually made some rabbit jerky and that turned out awesome. So let's get started. This is going to be a 2-day process to make our turkey jerky. Today we're going to make the brine, we're going to slice the turkey, or we're going to brine the turkey overnight, and then tomorrow we'll actually dehydrate the turkey. I'm going to show you 2 different ways to do it so that we can have this delicious treat. I love to have jerky around this time of year. If I need to decide, do I want to go for the cookies or do I want to go for the jerky? At least there's an alternative to the cookies. I can pick it up. It's good to have some protein. It's much better for you. Not that I don't ever pick the cookie instead, but you know, it's good to have a healthier alternative. Let's get started. Now everything that we're going to use to make the brine is things that you probably already have in your house. The very first thing we're going to use is soy sauce. Now, in our home, we try not to consume much soy. We don't really like soy products. So we're actually using coconut aminos, which is a soy sauce alternative. But if you have regular soy sauce, that's great. Go ahead and use that. We're going to use a half of a cup of the liquid aminos. And then the next thing that we're going to use is some Worcestershire sauce, however you say it, that's what we're going to use next. We're going to use just 4 tablespoons of that. We're going to add 1/4 of a cup of brown sugar. Make sure you pack that in there good. I prefer dark brown sugar, but if you have light brown sugar, that'll work fine as well. Next, we're going to add 4 teaspoons of salt. Now, we use pink Himalayan salt, but you can use table salt if that's what you have. Again, 4 teaspoons. And then the last thing that we're going to add is some paprika, some garlic powder, and some onion powder. We're going to add 2 teaspoons of each. Now we buy all of our spices and the salt in bulk from Azure Standard. If you guys haven't heard of them, it's a great company where you can buy a lot of your organic foods in bulk. Alright, so 2 teaspoons of paprika. We'll leave a link in our description so you guys can check them out. 2 teaspoons of garlic. If you don't like that much garlic, you don't have to add that much. And then 2 teaspoons of onion powder. Alright, let me grab a whisk. We'll whisk this all together and then we'll set that aside for now. So that's all there is to the marinade. What I'm going to do now is I'm just going to set this in the refrigerator while we get our turkey out. Alright, so I've got my turkey here. Now on our farm we raise a heritage breed of turkey called blue slate turkeys. This year we have 8 of them that we'll be processing soon. And so this is actually one that is left from last year. So that's another great thing about making jerky. So it's a good way to use up some of the meat that maybe you still have left in the freezer from the previous year. before you fill it up with this year's. So let's get this open. Now this is just one turkey breast. Now this still has the bone in, so we're gonna have to take this off the bone. And this one says that this one breast off this turkey weighed 5 pounds. So I'm assuming by the time we get done taking it off the bone, we're gonna have about 3 pounds of meat here. Look at that. That is awesome. Let me get this out of the way. Now, for jerky, we don't want any of this skin on the turkey, so we're gonna actually take all of this skin off. And now we're going to take all of this meat off of the bone. Now, if you just buy your turkey at the store, you just buy a boneless turkey breast to start with. But if you're taking it off the bone like I am here, just take your knife and just follow right along that bone there at the back of the breast. Alright, so that's the bone. Get rid of that. And now we're going to look if there's any pieces of cartilage or anything like that. We don't want that in there, so we'll just cut as much of that off as we can right now so we don't have to worry about it later on. We want this to be pretty much as lean as possible. Alright, now that we have the bone taken out of here and the skin off and the cartilage off and everything, the next thing that we're going to do is we're actually going to put this back in the freezer for about 2 hours. We want this to be just a little bit frozen. That way we'll be able to cut this nice and thin. That will make our jerky so much better. So I'm going to put this in like a gallon Ziploc bag, put this back in the freezer for about 2 hours. I'll see you then. Well, it's been a couple hours that we've had the turkey breast in the freezer. It's definitely not frozen, but it's more stiff than it was when we put it in, and that's what we want so that we can cut it easier. So we're going to take this back out. We'll save this bag for now. Alright, and now it's time to start cutting the turkey breast. Now you have a couple options when you're cutting your meat for the jerky. You can cut it either with the grain or against the grain. If you cut it with the grain, you're going to end up with a little tougher of a piece of jerky when you're done. If you cut it against the grain, you're going to end up with a little softer piece of jerky when you're done. So just keep that in mind. I'm going to cut mine across the grain. So first thing I'm going to do is just cut this in half. Now it also helps to have a nice sharp knife and ideally a long knife. Now that we have that cut in half, I'm actually going to take this apart a little further. You can see there's kind of separate pieces here. You just kind of have to look at the whatever kind of meat you're using. But see, this is like a separate little piece of meat here. It's going to be easier to cut smaller pieces of meat. So we're going to cut this now into strips, again about 1/4 of an inch thick. The main thing is that you want uniform size pieces so that they all dry about the same rate. So as we get this cut up, we're going to just set it over into our brine bowl here. Now we may not end up doing this entire turkey breast. Now that I'm starting to cut it, I'm realizing just how big this is, and this is going to make a lot of jerky. So I'm going to just cut this, again, into manageable size pieces because it's just going to be easier to cut. And then once we get this all sliced up, I'll come back and I'll show you the next step. All of the turkey breast is cut up. I've got it all here in this bowl. Just a few trimmings that I kept off to the side that weren't good enough to cut up. We'll use these tomorrow morning maybe for breakfast and some eggs or something. Be perfect. Alright, so for this, what we're going to do is now we have this in the brine. We're just going to kind of toss this around a little bit. Make sure everything is well coated. And then I'm actually going to reuse that Ziploc bag that we had the breast in the freezer. I'm going to put this in there seal that back up. Let me wash my hands, I'll be right back. So now what we'll do is we'll just take our sandwich bag, set it inside of a bowl, since I'm sure I got turkey on the outside of it. Don't want that to get all over the refrigerator. We'll leave this in the refrigerator overnight. Now a few times tonight, I'll come out into the refrigerator and just kind of, you know, move all of this around, make sure that all of those pieces are getting plenty of the brine, the marinade on them. And then tomorrow morning, we'll start the smoking and dehydrating process to turn this into jerky. Well, good morning, everybody. It is the next morning. It is a chilly day here in the Ozarks. It's about 25 degrees out this morning, but we're gonna get started on our jerky. Now, I told you that I'm gonna show you two different ways of doing this. The first way is going to be on a smoker. Now, I use an electric smoker because it's simple and it gives consistent results. If you have a regular smoker, you can use that as well, one that uses only wood. This one uses electricity and wood, and I like it. So, I've got all of my turkey out here. This has been in the refrigerator overnight. It's been in this brine. The first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to get the trays out of the smoker, the racks out of the smoker. We're going to put them out here, and we're going to start laying our pieces on here. Now, I've already preheated my smoker to 175 degrees, which is the temperature that we want for this. And I've added some wood already. Today we're going to be using apple wood. I just buy it in these bags. A lot of times I will use hickory or something like that I get from back in the woods from our own trees, but for apple I use this, and this is what I have available today. I actually think hickory would probably be better with the turkey jerky, but since I have apple chips, that's what I'm going to use today. Now, this smoker I've been using for probably 10 years. In fact, I'm on my second one. I've used it so much. This is a master built, nothing real fancy. They're only maybe $150, but they work really well. It's got a thermostat, so you basically just set the temperature that you want to smoke things at, and then you can set the amount of time. And then right over here on the side is where you can actually load your wood chips. And that way you don't have to open the door every time to put more wood chips in, so you're not making your temperature fluctuate very much, which is really nice. So I just really like this. Like I said, I'm on my second one and I really enjoy using it. So all right, let's go ahead and get the racks out of here so we can start laying our pieces of meat on the smoker. And you want to do this as fast as possible so you don't make your temperature drop too much. Alright, so we've got these racks out. I'm going to dump my turkey out of this bag. Now, if you guys hear some strange noises in the background, we've got a neighbor who is an awesome coyote hunter. And it sounds like he's out calling coyotes this morning. So if you hear some strange animal noises in the background, that's our neighbor out calling coyotes. I love that we have a neighbor who does that because it keeps the coyote population under control. Helps with predators around our place as well. Alright, let's do 2 trays here at a time. You can see our pieces of turkey here. We're just going to put these on the racks. Now we want to put these so that we fit as many as we can, but we don't want them to be touching. We want the smoke to be able to get up through here. Alright, I've got the first 2 trays loaded with turkey. I'm going to put those back in the smoker. Now we'll load up more. Alright, I've got my 3rd rack here done. For today, that's all I'm going to do is 3 racks inside of the smoker because I want to be able to show you guys the other way of doing this in the house. All right, so we've got that in. I'm gonna add some wood chips, some more wood chips. Then we're gonna head back inside because it's cold out here and my hands are freezing between the temperatures and the cold meat. They're cold. The nice thing about these smokers is you don't need much wood to create a good smoky flavor. So we'll just put that many wood chips. Now the other thing is with jerky, you don't want to add a lot of smoke. I'm going to add this round of wood chips right here and probably one more in about an hour, and then that's it. You don't want the smoky flavor to overpower the brine that you made when you're making jerky. Plus the meat is so thin, it can take up a lot of that smoke flavor. So you don't want to overdo it. I'm going to only do 2 rounds of wood and then that'll be it. All right, let's take the rest of this inside and get started in there. We're back in the house. The second way that we're going to make jerky today is going to be on our dehydrator. Now, if you still want that smoky flavor in your jerky, you can add some liquid smoke to your brine when you're making that. We obviously didn't do that, so we're going to have some jerky that has the smoky flavor and some jerky that doesn't. Both are going to be excellent. Now, we don't have a fancy dehydrator. This is just a cheap one from Walmart, but it works really well and we use it a ton. This one has a preset temperature of 165 degrees. You might have one that has an adjustable temperature. If you do, somewhere between 165 and 175 degrees is what you want to do, in my opinion. So we're going to do the same thing that we did outside. We're going to lay our pieces of jerky on the racks here. One nice thing is that these have smaller holes than my smoker does, so I try to save the littler pieces of jerky to put on the dehydrator. Put the big pieces on the smoker. So we're just going to lay all of these on here. Again, try to get as many on as you can, but you don't want them touching. You want to be able to get decent airflow. So we're just going to do this until we have this completely filled up with the rest of the jerky meat that we have here. Then we'll plug this in and get started. Alright, we've got the dehydrator now full of jerky meat. I put the cover on. We're going to get ready to plug this in. Ours ended up making 2 trays with jerky meat on. I'm making more in the smoker than on the dehydrator because honestly, in my opinion, that's my favorite way to do it. So I really like the smoky flavors. The jerky is going to take about the same amount of time on the smoker and on the dehydrator, anywhere from 4 to 8 hours. Starting at 4 hours, we'll check it every hour to see how it's doing. It just really depends on whether or not you want kind of a chewy jerky. If it does, you stop it. If you do, you stop it a little sooner. If you want it to be a little more, crunchy and really dehydrated, then you can do it a little bit longer. Now, there is a special trick to make homemade jerky safe. I'm going to show you guys that at the end. After this is done on the dehydrator and the smoker, we're going to do one extra step to make it safer for consuming at home. So I'm going to get my dehydrator plugged in here. And then we'll see you guys back here in 4 hours. Well, it's been 5 hours since we put the jerky on the smoker. Wanted to come back and check it after 4, but Sarah and I got busy cutting some trees that fell on a fence on our property. So it's been 5 hours. Let's go ahead and take a look at it and see how it's doing. Well, I actually think it's probably done. Let's go ahead and take one of the trays out here. I think that is done. I think that's done. So we're going to move on to the next step. What we're going to do is we're going to put all of the jerky on baking sheets. And then we're going to take it in the house. And I'll show you the secret to making it safe to keep for, a few weeks at least in the house. Alright, we're back in the house. Let's check on the stuff that we have on the dehydrator. Because this has a clear top, I've been able to see it, and I would guess that this is probably done as well. It's definitely dry, so I'm going to say that that is done as well. So we're going to put this on a baking sheet as well. And you can see a definite difference between the smoked jerky and just the plain dehydrated turkey based on color. The smoked turkey is definitely a lot darker. Okay, so now for the simple trick to make this a little bit more safe for home consumption. What I've done is I've preheated our oven to 275 degrees. Now, when you're smoking or dehydrating this stuff, you're doing it at 165 degrees, which technically is enough to kill off any bad bacteria, especially in poultry. But just on the off chance that any of that survived, any bad bacteria that was on there would have survived during that process, what we're going to do is we're going to put this in a preheated oven. Again, 275 degrees, we're going to put it in for just 10 minutes. That will heat this up, that will kill off anything that may have made it through those other two processes, and then it will be safe for home consumption in the refrigerator up to a couple months, just out in the open for like a month or so. But honestly, in our house, this won't last nearly that long. So I'm going to put these both in the oven, again, 275 degrees for 10 minutes, and then we'll take them back out. All right, our timer has gone off. This has been in for 10 minutes. Let's take these over and we'll let them cool off a little bit and then we'll give them a try. Well, our jerky is completely done. We've got here our smoked jerky. Look at how beautiful that looks. Super dark from the smoke, and it just smells amazing. And then we've got our dehydrated jerky here. Again, not quite as much of that. It's a much lighter color. Let's go ahead and give it a try for both of these. And now, just out of curiosity, I went online to Walmart.com and looked how much turkey jerky is. Averaged about $1.25 an ounce. So I figured here today we made about $24 worth of turkey jerky out of one turkey breast and some simple ingredients. So I think that's pretty awesome. All right, let's give this one a try first, the dehydrated. That is really good. Now I can tell you I've already snuck a piece of the smoked stuff. With the dehydrated stuff, you taste the brine a lot more. You taste the brown sugar, it's a lot sweeter, and obviously you don't have that smoky flavor. It's really good though. You really taste the brown sugar and the sweetness of it a lot more. On the smoked one, which I'm not going to taste another piece, takes too long to chew when you're making a video, but I already tried a piece of this before. There's definitely more flavor in the smoked stuff. You have all of that smoky flavor plus the flavor of the brine. It's really good. But I wouldn't say one is necessarily better than the other. They're both awesome. So I hope you guys will give this a try. An easy way to use up meat that you might have in the freezer. If you're like us and raise a lot of meat, this is a good way to use up some of it before you refill the freezer the next year. This is such a great snack to have around the holidays. An alternative to all of the sweets. Not that you shouldn't have the sweets. Hey, it's the holidays. Go ahead and have some sweets. But even it out a little bit with something a little bit healthy. I hope you'll give it a try. If you're enjoying our videos, I hope you'll hit that subscribe button before you leave. If you know others who would enjoy things that we do here on the farm, I hope you'll share our videos on all of your social media. And until next time, thank you so much for stopping by our homestead. Take care and God bless.